College football fans, what up? It's the one and only Cole Thompson here, and let's continue the series breaking down what defines a winning season in 2024 for every major college football contender. We've already talked about Ole Miss, talked about Oregon, talked about Miami. We know what their goals are, and the next team, probably similar goals, but maybe even a little bit more elongated, despite being the newcomers in the conference. I think you know who I'm talking about here. It's, of course, Utah. But if you're new, welcome on into the channel. Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification. That way you don't miss a single episode of Just Saying It. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on Utah underneath Kyle Whittingham? Are they about ready to terrorize the Big 12? Are they already the flagship of the Big 12? And of course, hit subscribe because we're talking college football every single day leading up to week 1 and well throughout the 2024 chaotic season. Follow me on all the socials at Mr. Cole Thompson, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I got you covered. And make sure you tell your friends, family, mortal enemies, best of pros, college football aficionados, and of course, Utah faithful everywhere about this channel because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking about our favorite sport every single day. But more importantly, we're on the mission to become the #1 college football community here on YouTube. What does defining winning season for Utah in 2024? They are newcomers to a new conference. No more Pac-12. Best of luck, future endeavors, whatever happens to Oregon State and Washington State. You want to stick behind and go down with the ship, that's on you. But we're hitching our wagon to what is being sold by Brett Yormark. We believe that this is the best course of action for us, and we're kind of coming in with a little bit of a salty taste in our mouths. You ever realize that when you feel like you're tasting something and it's going to be a decent thing, and then you're like, no, it's kind of lingering, and then I want to touch that again? Yeah, that's Utah last season. That was not the standard of what Utah is. And so here's what I need you to do. If you are a college football fan, Utah fans, you already know I talk about this. I need you to look at those numbers. Finish in the bottom half. 34th against the 34th in rushing, 91st in total offense, 90th in scoring, 98th in passing. Got the numbers right here. Throw them out the door because that's not Utah football. That will never be Utah football. You and I both know what to expect with Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham is one of those people that honestly just gets forgotten about in movies. You forget that they're really good actors. And then you see them on the stage. You're like, wow, where has he been? Oh, he was here the entire time. Just the problem is you weren't paying attention. Like before I ever got into doing broadcasting and doing sports talk, I want to be a voice actor. That was my entire persona. I loved being able to tell stories with my dialogue, with my mouth, coming up with sounds. That was something I was really passionate about. And Alan Tudyk is a guy that is known for his voice acting roles. But you ever see him act before? The dude went to Juilliard. He has professional classical Shakespearean training, and it's very evident that he demands a certain bourgeoisie and excellence whenever he takes the stage. Yeah, that's the same as Kyle Whittingham. Underrated, underappreciated, down, never out of the count, and he doesn't really give a flying fadoodle what you think. 8-5 last year. That was a blessing in disguise. 14 of the last 18 seasons you have watched Utah get at least 8+ wins. And honestly, last season was probably the most challenging because you didn't know who was going to be your #1 receiver. And the second that you got a #1 receiver, well, they ended up getting hurt or they ended up playing out of space. So you didn't really feel confident in them. You had no quarterback, 0 quarterback play. You thought Cam Rising was going to be back at some point last year. He wasn't. You also didn't have Brant Kuithe, and that's a major, Brant Kuithe. That's a major difference for this team. Having a security blanket at tight end right after losing a security blanket at tight end and Dalton Kincaid, that's going to set some trepidation. And so 8-5, that's not going to cut it. Nor does it should fit the mold of what we know about Utah. Utah's a special team. And you want to know why they're special? Because of every single year, they can replace talent, they can find new faces, and they're going to come out the exact same way. Fighting for a conference title, fighting for a prominent bowl game, and more than likely still being at least in the hunt for a college football playoff spot. Well, that was in the 4-team era, and the Pac-12 still existed, and we thought at the time that there was not major problems going on in the world. Well, now they're going to the Big 12, and now they're getting back Cam Rising, and they're getting back Brant Kuithe. And you remember the last 2 times that happened that these two were on the field? Back-to-back Pac-12 titles, back-to-back appearances in the Rose Bowl, and now, because of a conference title guarantees you a spot in the playoff, you're going to the postseason. No, it ands or buts about it. I loved what they did in the transfer portal. The addition of Dorian Singer, I don't think is going to be talked about enough because of he didn't have the same type of animosity, the same type of hostility, the same type of production and poise that he did when he was at Arizona, at USC. But he's a good player. He's a really good complementary piece. And now you're bringing him in to a veteran roster ready to set the tone in year one of a brand new conference. The other thing, you can lose talent left and right. The thing that does not get brought up enough about a team like Utah is every single year they will lose 20 to 30 players, whether it be to the portal, whether it be to the draft, whether it be to just the fact that they're retiring or they want to medically step away. They're no longer in the football. And you'll get 3 stars to come in, and you'll get a few 4 stars, and you'll get every once in a blue moon a 5-star. You'll get some 2 stars. And it doesn't really matter because by the season's end, they're all playing like 4 stars. They're all playing like 5 stars. That's development of talent. And I don't know how many teams are as good as developing lesser tier talent into household figures the way Kyle Whittingham and his staff is. They demand excellence. They demand a no-nonsense mentality. They have this aura about them that screams, we know who we are. We know what our expectations are. And we also know that we can do whatever we so please, as long as we follow these simple steps. Go ahead and set the tone in practice, carry it over into the regular season, and then once we hit our stride, nobody is allowed to take their foot off the brake. And you look at their schedule, that's kind of why I think that when they get to that moment, they won't be taking their foot off their brake. Start the season off against Southern Utah, Baylor, Utah State, and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State could be a little bit of a challenge because it will be their first Big 12 road game. They have a game against Baylor, of course, in week 2, but that is at Rice-Eccles Stadium. More on that in a moment. But that Oklahoma State game, Boone-Pickens Stadium, might be a small venue, but it is one of the more eruptuous, volcanic type of places because of the sticks that just echo throughout the entire stadium for 4 hours. It's like the kettlebells down in Wade Davis Stadium. It's almost at that level, but it's just bang, bang, bang. I still believe that you're going to see a bang and bruising type of team coming in from Utah. After that, Arizona, big time game from a former Pac-12 school. At Arizona State, TCU, Houston, BYU. Close out the season with Colorado, Utah, and at UCF. We know that Gus Malzahn is going to get a special every once in a blue moon. Will it be against Utah? Maybe. But maybe at that point, also, Utah's already clinched their spot in Arlington. So it feels like they don't have to really worry about much. Just get through this game and set up for a great performance against whoever in AT&T Stadium. Then you get the playoff. That's kind of the case. I've already told you about Rice-Eccles Stadium before, if you've watched any of my videos. It is a cathedral of chaos in college football. It is one of the most beautiful, one of the most wonderful, one of the most exciting places that you could ever step foot in. It is a majesty. And you look over and you see the background. Beautiful location. Beautiful location. But when those lights go down and when those fans rally in, clad in red, clad in black, you see the dawning of the white logo with the U, you know you're in trouble. And here's the thing. That's going to be the new hostile environment for the Big 12. That's going to be the reason why the Big 12 has to run through Salt Lake City. That place, that horrifying, terrible trap for any team is going to have to walk in and realize, oh, Kyle Whittingham's here. Oh, Utah's here. Oh, no, we're in trouble. Like, Utah's going to pull up to Big 12 Media Days and go, hi, we're here. We're sitting in the front of the bus. You guys, you're all in the back or in the middle. We don't really care because they've earned it. They have. They haven't even played it down just yet. But you watch the way that Kyle Whittingham has led this team over the last 18 plus years. You watch the way that Kyle Whittingham has established a culture, one that has been probably more sustainable than anything else in college football. And the way that finally, in a new era, they're going to have their respect. Really hard to hate this Utah team. So what defines a winning season? To me, setting a standard. Setting the fact that you are now the face of the Big 12. And there's going to be some really good teams this year. The Big 12 is basically a shoot one fish in a barrel. You have no idea what's going to happen. Oh, by the way, there's bunch bombs around it too. So if you hit one of those, it all explodes. Like, it is a complete and total crazy madhouse this year. And I think it's going to be that way for a while. But somebody has to take that step forward as the face of the conference. And to me, it comes down to 3 teams. Right now, Kansas State. Also, I think you got to throw in Oklahoma State because if you have to respect Mike Gundy. And even though he's not 40, he does have that aura. And then Kyle Whittingham in Utah. Those are the teams that are going to be running the Big 12. And those are the teams we're going to be talking about the most of the Big 12. So establish the culture. Establish that you actually are the head honchos. You are the fan favorites. And that you are also the favorites when it comes to just making sure you're good enough to live up to expectations. You can be a playoff team. I have them in my playoff right now. I think if they win the Big 12, I think if they probably lose one game, maybe two at most. But you get to 11-2, you're going to the postseason. No questions asked about it. Winning season means setting a standard like you did in the Pac-12, now in the Big 12, and making sure that everybody else around you has to look down. Look up rather than you be looking down. If you make the college football playoff and win a few games, that's an extra bonus. But I think also, if you set a tone, that probably means that you are winning the conference in year one, which means postseason berth is definitely on the horizon. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think is a winning season for Utah in 2024? Make sure you tell your friends, family, mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados, of course, Utah fans everywhere. And make sure that you hit subscribe because we're talking college football every single day leading up to week one and well throughout the chaotic 2024 season. I'm Cole Thompson. Until next time, folks, later.